Are we good to get started? I think I'll keep admitting people as they come along, but just so everyone knows, the session is being recorded. So if you do drop out at any time, feel free to check out the recording that will be made available. You could also note that the live transcription is also on. So you'll see that option available below as one of the buttons that says live transcript. So if you would like to turn that on, it is available to you. I will let Dylan, Kevin, or Nikki take it away.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex. Good afternoon, folks. My name is Dylan Williamson. My pronouns are he, him, and I am the Assistant Dean Residence Life here at the Office of Residence and Student Life at New College. I'll be taking you through the first couple slides of our presentation here this afternoon. But I really wanted to kick things off and say hello, welcome. Thank you so much for all of you being here today. We're so happy to see you folks, if you will, we'll be spending the next hour together going through some information for you. And we will have an opportunity for questions at the end as well. I did want to quickly clarify that there will be some questions that we will not be able to answer, specifically around vaccines and those kinds of questions. So if you folks do have any of those questions, we will be redirecting those to the appropriate folks. So as mentioned, my name is Dylan Williamson, the Assistant Dean Residence Life here at New College, and I will pass it on over to Nikki to introduce herself.
So hi, I'm Nikki Butler, and I'm the Assistant to the Dean Administration. I'm the one who's been emailing you all summer long with the residence information. And I'm the one who you would come to for any questions about residence, meal plans, your fees, anything like that. You would just email me at new.residence. And over to Kevin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin Nichema. I'm the Residence Life Programs Coordinator here at New College. So should you be with us in the fall, you'll definitely see me around campus, around residence. I work really closely with Dylan in particular, and a lot with some of our student staff and student leaders here at New College. And I'll pass it back to Nick. Just for clarification too, my pronouns are he and him.
Next slide, please. Okay, so I'd like to begin our session this afternoon with a land acknowledgement. I will give you folks some background on what a land acknowledgement is if you've never heard one before. So land acknowledgements are seen by some as a necessary first step towards honoring the original occupants of a place, and they serve to help Canadians specifically recognize and respect Indigenous peoples' inherent kinship beliefs when it comes to the land, especially since those beliefs have been restricted for so long. So for me personally, it's important as a settler on this land to acknowledge my own privilege and my positionality and my relationship to the land here. So a bit about myself so that you have an idea of my background and where I come from. I do identify as a white gay male of British, French, and Scottish origin. Although I don't know when my ancestors immigrated to Canada, I acknowledge that it is likely that my ancestors played a role in the colonization of Canada, or what is now known as Canada, and which is known to many as Turtle Island, and the subsequent cultural genocide that has transpired. And thus it's important for me as an individual to work alongside others towards reconciliation and repatriation. So while we are meeting today on a virtual platform, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the importance of the land that I call home. Today, we are presenting to you from Toronto, Ontario, a city which is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississaugas of the Credit in 1805, and the Williams Treaty is signed with multiple Mississaugas and Chippewa bands. Although I call this land my home today, it is important for me to acknowledge that I'm a settler on this land, and this land has been home to many Indigenous peoples for a number of years, including the folks from the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississaugas of the Credit. Not only has this land been home to many Indigenous peoples who came before me, but it continues to be home for many First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples to this day. As a settler on this land, I express my sincerest gratitude to the Indigenous peoples, and I'm so thankful to have had the opportunity to live, learn, and work on this land. In acknowledging my relationship with the land, I do so to affirm my commitment and responsibility to improving relationships between nations and improving my own understanding of local Indigenous peoples and their cultures. I would encourage you all to think about the Indigenous peoples of your own homes and to reflect on your relationship with these individuals and the land on which you reside. As you look forward to arriving in September, I'd encourage you to explore the diverse Indigenous communities and cultures that we are surrounded by here in Toronto, and to reflect upon your relationship to this land, whether that is a pre-existing relationship or a relationship that will develop. Thank you so much. So now we will get into the actual bit of our presentation here. So just some notes for you folks at the beginning here. In terms of online etiquette, we ask that you folks please keep yourselves muted during the presentation. You're welcome to unmute yourselves at the end when we have our Q&A portion. I did drop a note in the chat there for you folks to rename yourselves. So please feel free to use your preferred name and to include pronouns if you would like. You're welcome to ask chat or questions in the chat box as well if you don't feel comfortable unmuting yourself later on. And then, as mentioned, we'll have an opportunity for you folks to ask questions at the end of the presentation. So in terms of a bit of an outline for where we're headed this afternoon, here's what you have to look forward to. So we'll start with a brief introduction to New College as a whole. We'll talk about an introduction to our office, also known as ORSL. We'll talk about our residents' community and demographics, our residents' curriculum, our residents' amenities, and then we'll talk about paying deposit number 2, important residence dates, and then we'll head into that Q&A portion at the end. So New College, what is New College? Maybe you don't know, maybe you do know. So New College is one of the youngest and most modern of the St. George campus colleges at the University of Toronto. New College opened in 1962, and it's developed its own traditions and identity, focusing on personal attention to students, innovative interdisciplinary programs, links with professional faculties, career mentorship, and community outreach initiatives. New College is a friendly and informal community which places a high priority on student support services and encourages diversity. And I'd like to say that we very much mirror that within our office as well. So let's talk some numbers. You folks might be interested in this. So we have 38% of our students who identify with English being their first language. And 62% of students actually say that they have another first language that is not English. In terms of more numbers, so New College has 5,955 students. These numbers are a couple years old as well, so this number has likely increased since then. And in 2018, there was over 1,000 students who graduated, so 1,040 there. And then finally, we do have 43% of our population is international students, and we have we have representation from over 100 countries living here. So ORSL, you might hear that thrown around a lot. So ORSL stands for the New College Office of Residence and Student Life. So ORSL contributes to the academic mission of the college and facilitates student transition in, through, and out of their experience at the University of Toronto. We embrace our responsibility in helping students become and continue to be engaged participants in the world around them. So the next slide you'll see is an overview of our staff. So in the top left corner, we have Leah, who is our Dean of Students. And then moving to the right, you have myself and Trish, who is our Assistant Dean, Student Life and Leadership. We have Alex, who began our presentation, and we have Nick, who is our Summer Residence Life Coordinator, who is not here with us today. In the bottom left, we have Nikki, who introduced herself earlier, and Kevin as well. And then we have Jared, who is our Student Life Program Coordinator. We have a blank box pictured there for our administrative assistant. They will be joining us very shortly. And then finally, we have our program intern, which is Laura in the bottom right corner there. So our values are a critical framework. As you'll see on the right here, there is a list. So we have collaboration, equity grounded, innovation, openness, personal growth, and student centered. So I will take you through each of those briefly as well. So in terms of collaboration, we're collaborative in prioritizing reciprocal relationships and storytelling with students and our college and community partners. And I really want to stress community partners as well, because living in the downtown core here, we have a great network of folks that we can reach out to for support and to connect with. So equity grounded, we're committed to an equity that recognizes, supports, and responds to the diverse histories and lived and marginalized experiences of students and many communities. Innovation, so we are innovative. We're remaining grounded in best practices and creating new priorities to anticipate the needs of current and incoming student communities. And so you'll see that a lot as we start talking about curriculum. Openness, we're open and honest in our communication, which prioritizes the needs of students. Of course, there may be times where we can't be open or forthcoming with information due to confidentiality, but we will do our best to be as open and forthcoming with you. Personal growth, we challenge and support students in developing personal growth through self-awareness and community accountability. And finally, being student-centered, we're student-centered in our approach and strive to build students who are engaged and active participants in their many diverse communities. And I will hand things over to Kevin to take us through the next section of our presentation.
Thank you for that, Dylan. And really a wonderful start. So now we're going to be looking at our residence communities and also the demographics. I'm recognizing that we have a very diverse population here at New College. I think it would be interesting to talk numbers again, right? So really across 3 buildings, so we have 3 specific residences here at New College, Wilson Hall, Wetmore Hall, and 45 Wilcox. We can house over 880 students. Definitely one of the largest colleges out there. Throughout the year, we tend to run over 200 programs. And those are programs that typically touch on social, cultural, and wellness, but also academic development. And you'll see that through the curriculum, there are developments there that do touch on these learning goals. So again, looking at numbers, our incoming populations really consist of 3/4 of first-year students, so 75% of our communities here are first-year students, and the rest, 25%, tend to be upper-year students. That may be second, third, fourth, and even upper years. Then looking again at the different populations that we house here at New College, and we have over 32 countries. So 32 countries represented in New College, a very, very well-diverse community here. And that's something that we take pride in and we recognize on every single floor. But on top of that, we have 3 distinctive learning communities, which really spans from life science to global connections, to equity and access, and some of which we're actually reworking and remodeling to best cater to our student population. And then I think something that may be interesting to some incoming residents actually are your student leaders. So who are they, what do they do, and what does really that process look like? And now I'll make sure to touch a little bit more on that. So we have 21 residence Dawn, and I'll again touch on what a residence Dawn does and where you could also find them on your floor, and 12 residence academic programmers. So in total, we have a pretty hefty amount of student leaders that are there to support you academically, emotionally, personally, in every shape or form. And they're there on your floor as a source of support as you navigate your university experience. So we talked a little bit about our student leaders, but let's talk a little bit about what our residence curriculum actually looks like. This is something that, again, we take a lot of pride in, recognizing that this has been reworked and remodeled over the last couple of years to best not only cater to our students, but to take all the feedback that we got from previous academic sessions and rework that in a way that makes sense to our incoming student population. So prior to that, maybe it would be interesting for us to touch on what our mission here at ORSL really looks like. And it is really to provide a safe and supportive residence experience where all students can grow academically, explore their personal identity, and purposely engage with their community with respect to responsibility and reciprocity, sorry. And based on that mission, really this educational priority spreads through everything that we do for the residence experience here at New College. And it's really supported by 4 key learning goals. So academic sustainability, previously known as academic success, but again, these are some of the key wording that we try to remodel to best cater and support our students. So really academic sustainability focuses and recognizes what students need and understands the resources available to them to then apply and develop healthy practices to sustain themselves academically. The next pretty interesting for some of you folks coming into residence is purposeful transitions. So what does that look like? That really is understanding a student's multiple transition to university and how they can really adopt and cultivate interdependence and communicate across cultural differences. The third down there is personal and collective wellness. So really how to house or how to really look at oneself and sustain a balance of personal and collective wellness, which would include, but also not limited to mental health, emotional and physical, spiritual, but also financial health and relationship as you go through your first year with us at New College. And the last one is community responsibility and engagement, which will actually help us segue into one of our next slides, which is really to understand one's place within their own respective community standards and to have them engage in opportunities to support and lead their communities. So how is that implemented? And this is really going back to our conversation about our student leaders. I was saying that we have over 21 residents on, so who each live in our resident houses. So our residence on team is a group of trained upper years undergraduate or graduate students who live and work in residence to offer and support academic, personal, and interpersonal support through the year. So there are student leaders who have training in communication and conflict resolution, para-counseling and facilitation, as well as first aid, CPR, fire safety, and nonviolent crisis intervention. So really, Dawn's create and maintain a positive space and supportive environment by really promoting our community standards here at New College and values, but also providing students with access to campus resources and creating and delivering with access to these resources through social and educational programs that are in line with our residence curriculum. The next set of student leaders, we have 12 here at New College, each responsible for 2 floors, are residence academic programmers. So again, typically a younger team, but upper year students regardless, that also live with us in residence. And they work closely with Dawn's and our New College academic advisors to offer support and guidance and mentorship for residents in their mentoring community. So they really focus on connecting residents with college resources that are focused around academic success or sustainability, cultural transition, health and wellness, and career preparation. And the last one that you see here, which is our New College Residence Council, which is our body of student organization here in residence. that is composed of an executive team and the rest of the house councils, I guess. So each floor has their respective house council, and I would encourage, if you have the opportunity, to run for some of these positions, because these are absolutely amazing opportunities that open to that expose you to a lot of the values that we have here in New College, but also give you other opportunities, whether academically or personally, as you move through your undergraduate degree here at U of T. It's also composed of an executive body where we have 3 building presidents, going back to the 3 residences that we have. So a building president for Wilson Hall, a building president for Wetmore Hall, and a building president for 45 Wilcox. So again, that executive team is composed of 6 individuals. So the building president and the other 3 individuals are actually directors. So these are more focused, and I think could be helpful for students looking for student leadership opportunities that could perhaps be tied to their academics. So the director positions, we have we have a director of administration, we have a director of finance. So for students going into studies such as Rotman, these are opportunities to be looking at. And we have a director of communication. So for students in social sciences too, we tend to see a lot of those apply for those roles. And again, these are our 3 main student portfolios that really help shape our residence life experience, and that you'll see yourself in interacting with as you transition into New College. So next, let's really talk quickly about amenities, at least residence amenities. Every single room has access to wired and wireless network that is immediately authenticated via your UTOR ID. Our computer facilities are actually amazing here at New College. So we do have our own in-house library with over 60 workstation that provide, again, internet access and special collection of color printing. There is also an opportunity to borrow tech equipment from the library, which includes laptop, regardless of operating systems, chargers, whether they're phone chargers, laptop chargers, but also other smaller key pieces there, like microphones, headphones, and things like that. Moving to the amenities that you can find on the floors. So each floor has at least one laundry facility that is absolutely free for our students to use throughout the year. A common room, and the common room do contain couches, microwaves, a fridge, stoves, and countertops for students to really interact in. And they also all contain a smart TV that is associated to a Netflix, or at least a streaming network that is monitored by our IT division. So at any time you have the possibility to have access to those amenities should you need them. And again, kitchen areas and eating areas. We're absolutely also very accessible. So we really have a few barrier-free rooms in residence, and some of our entrances in the dining hall do also take that into consideration. We would also ask that if you do require any type of, if you do have accessible needs, to maybe reach out to accessible services. And one of those links is also popped into the right below on that green banner. The website is there, or you could also Google accessibility services U of T, and you should be able to find that. Actually, if someone can post that in the chat, that would be absolutely amazing. And lastly, our lounges. Right now, we've had a fully new renovated lounge that has not been used yet, again, for many reasons, one of which being the pandemic. But hopefully, as we go into this new year, we're looking at that space being definitely something that's popular. That same exact lounge has on the upper floor second cup in-house again So you'd be able to, again, be in your room and come down through the elevators and have access to your morning coffees. So that lounge space is absolutely amazing. Again, in terms of amenities, there are a few, I think, dance studios there. There's study rooms and a multi-purpose room, and a really, really big auditorium that, again, has been fully renovated. But again, some of our other facilities here in-house in New College, and where we really take pride in, is that we have music rooms in every single building, at least 2 music rooms in every single building. And all of them are equipped with acoustic pianos. And there is, again, an opportunity for you to bring in some of the instruments, some of the wonderful instruments that you may play, and book those rooms for practice. And with that, I will pass it on to Nikki to touch a little bit about meal plans.
Okay, so new last year, we switched to a declining balance meal plan system. And this year we have 4 to choose from, which you guys have already, if you're in residence, you've already chosen. I just wanted to let you guys know that at any point, at least for the next couple of weeks, you can still log back into your application and make changes yourself. But then in August, I will be locking it down. So then requests would have to come through our email for us to change it. Essentially, once we've posted fees, you won't be able to change your meal plan yourself. So the way, I'm not sure if you're familiar with declining balance meal plans, but the way it works is you essentially get a chunk of money on your card. They're called residence dollars, residence dining dollars, and they can be used in the New College cafeteria and at any other, well, once they're open, food service locations on campus that are run by U of T Food Services. And you can use them to purchase your meals or your food. So what it means in the dining hall is you can go in and then you're just paying for whatever it is that you want to eat or drink at that time. Now, we will allow students to change meal plans up to September 30th, I believe, but it's usually just to go, well, actually, I shouldn't say that. I'm still waiting for the updated terms and conditions from food services, which will dictate if meal plan changes can occur after the start of school, and what the conditions would be, or what the agreement is in terms of if you have money left at the end of the year, or if you move out early. So we don't have that information yet. As soon as I do have it, I will share it with everyone. And then you will also come with the $100 in T-Bucks. T-Bucks are separate from your dining dollars in that they can be used for things like paying for printing in the library if you need documents printed. You can use them at the bookstore to purchase supplies or textbooks and that sort of thing. Yeah, and we can move on to the fees now. So these are the fees, as you know, based on the plan and the room type. We will be doing room assignments for students at the beginning of August. So after the second deposit has been paid, which I will touch on shortly, we'll do room assignments and then we will post fees. The first installment, which isn't shown here, but it is in the code of conduct. So if you go to the website to our contracts page, there is a breakdown by payments, and your fall fees are due September 30th. Inclusive of if you have an OSAP deferral, and then the winter term fees will be due November 30th or January 31st, but only for students who have an OSAP deferral. And then if you have any questions about meals or fees, then you can just send an email to new.residents and I will get back to you. The meal plans, the total is for the year. So I just saw the question pop up. So the amount of money you have, it'll all be loaded onto your card for when you start in September, and that's the money you have for the year. You will have the option, if you run out, to add more to your card. That information would be given to you once you're in. Okay, next slide, Kevin. So paying deposit 2, which is what we are asking students to do right now. So this is to confirm for us that you are intending to come to residence, that you haven't changed your mind, and for our international students that you have all the necessary paperwork in hand. So you have your study permit, your visa, and you are able to fly and arrive and move into residence. And so this year, I know our contract says, and there's been some confusion, our contract says you must move in by September 12th. That would be the case in a normal year, but we are making an exception this year because of potentially the requirement for quarantine, which, as everybody knows, is changing on a day-to-day basis. So we're giving students until the end of September to actually move into residence, inclusive of quarantine time. So you can't, if you're going to be quarantining and not arriving until after September 30th, then please send us an email, because that could be potentially problematic. The main reason being is that the expectation is that classes and labs and tutorials will have in-person components starting September 23rd. And if you miss those, then academically there might be some concerns. So if you feel that you cannot arrive before September 30th, do send us an email now, and we can see if we can work it out before the deadline in terms of providing you with the right resources and connecting you to the right people. Oh yeah, important residence dates. So I think I covered a number of these. Right now, so August 2nd at 11:59 p.m. is when you must pay the second deposit by. And then after that, I will start on room assignments and the roommate selection process, and we'll post fees. I will keep everyone updated by email as to when this is occurring and when it's finished. Our move-in day, we're still, as it says, like with the application, with the arrival information, we're still trying to figure that out based on the number of students who might be arriving early because they've got quarantine in August versus students who will be arriving later in September because they have quarantine in September. But for our domestic students and our students who do not require quarantine, our expectation is that you arrive the weekend of September 4th and 5th. We will be sending out more detailed information about move-ins in that first week of August once we have an idea of when students are moving in. Ideally, it would be all on September 4th. You'd be able to move in after that, but it wouldn't be the main move-in day where we have all the staff on hand to help you out. But if we need to, because there is a large number, and with the public health guidelines that may be in place, is we may end up having to do it on September 4th and 5th. We will be setting up appointment times for you to book in to say, this is when I'll be arriving, to help us control the crowds. Same as with everything else, that information will come out in August as we get it all sorted out. Orientation, so there's, if you have specific orientation questions, if somebody could drop the emails into the chat, that would be great. So new routes are traditional orientation will start on September 6th, and there will be, I believe, in-person and virtual components. That information should be on the schedule, and our orientation co-chairs would be glad to answer any questions about those. September 9th is when arts and science classes begin. And then we've got the different deadlines for the fees that we mentioned. And the end of term is May 1st. The one thing I just realized I did forget to put in here is that for the winter break and I don't remember the dates at the moment, I think it's December 21st, 22nd to January 9th. We are closed for the break, but you can apply to stay for the break at an additional cost. That information would be sent out to all our students in and around November 1st. So you could have time to make a choice. And if you choose not to stay, you don't have to move out. We would just be asking you to hand your keys in when you leave to the front desk, and that you wouldn't have access to the building during that time because it's not covered under your contract. Next slide. Oh, that's it. Thank you. And I'll let Kevin or Dylan manage how we're going to do questions.
For sure. So folks, I know I did see a few questions pop in. I know that Nikki was answering them as they were coming in, but I think I saw one question specifically. So maybe Nikki, this would be, you could potentially take this. So how will meal plan work? Will I have to choose a meal plan even if I don't get a place on campus and might be in a hotel? or is that to be determined?
So I was speaking directly specifically to the students who have already been admitted into New College. If you have the first year guarantee and just haven't been received a placement yet, as the email said, they will send out detailed information by July 28th with regards to location and cost and meal plan options. To be honest, we're finding out this information usually like the day before it gets sent out to the students. So I actually don't have that information at the moment. But another thing is I know like somebody posted in the You Eat website, which is the food services website, is our meal plans, or there are options for students who aren't living in residence to purchase dining dollars to be able to use in our dining hall as in other places on campus.
Thank you for that, Nikki. So a next question, and forgive me if this was answered. I know that some of these are a bit similar. So I know, Nikki, you touched a little bit on this, but if you end up having excess, and I'm guessing in terms of your balance for your meal plan, does that carry over into the next year for your meal plan?
That I'm not sure yet. That is part of the terms and conditions that food services is just finalizing. They underwent an internal and external review, so they're making some changes from last year. I've been told I should have that information by the middle of next week, and then we would be updating the meal plan agreement in the code of conduct, and that information would be posted there.
Amazing. Next question we have, is the meal plan used during the winter break?
No, during the winter break, it's very limited services. There's no front desk staff. There's minimal caretaking, housekeeping staff on hand. Our office is closed. The dining hall is closed. So it would be using our common rooms to do your own cooking or going out to purchase meals.
Next question is from Alex. I don't think this is not our Alex, right? No, I don't think so.
No, it's not.
How will move-in day be like?
Well, we're still working out all the details, but essentially you would be going to a check-in spot for the building that you've been assigned to. So New College Residences is 3 buildings. So depending on which building you are assigned to, there will be a specific check-in spot, at least on the move-in day, where you would go and you would check in and pick up your keys. And those desks would be manned essentially by the staff members from ORSL. We will be on hand on September 4th. If you move in outside of our move-in hours, which are yet to be determined, then you would just go to the front desk at Wilson Hall, and that they would be able to check you in and give you your keys and go through all of that. But we will send out detailed move-in information starting about the 2nd week of August.
Amazing. And I think that answers the next question. And I know that Dylan also followed up with that, which was, is there a new list of what to bring to residents for 2021, 2022? Which I think
yeah, no, it's pretty standard as to what you can and cannot bring. It doesn't change much every year. The one thing we will be asking again, as we did last year, because of especially this year, because we are much fuller than we were last year, and we know we have to kind of maintain spacing and stuff still, is that if possible or where possible, that you just bring with you on move-in day what you absolutely need, and then perhaps bring in the rest of the stuff, either have stuff shipped to you or have it brought in the following weekend or a couple days later, just so that we're not overloading our elevators, because that capacity is still in place at the moment with public health. So we can't put like 5 people in our elevators. I think it's maximum 2 or 3, depending on the building you're in.
Next question, I think from Anushka. And I think this may be a referral question, but if I choose the at-home quarantine program, then can I quarantine in a service department?
Not sure. You would need to email the quarantine coordinator at info.quarantine@utoronto.ca. They can answer all your quarantine questions.
Sorry, folks, I'm just scrolling through these. So would you know if any in-person orientation events take place prior to the move-in date?
No.
No.
From my understanding, New Journeys is going to be virtual. That's the orientation that's taking place prior to the first week. That's going to be virtual. It's just a traditional orientation that will have in-person components, we hope.
Next question from Ben. The deposit paying page asked me to confirm that I will arrive before September 30th, but I think I can only arrive in late October.
Please send me an email.
There we go.
And I'll work through that with you.
And that would be the same email. If someone can type is it new.orso for you?
No, new.residence.
New.residence. Next question from Krishna. Also, does that mean that the 2 guest limit will still be in place this year?
As of right now, yes. Because there will still be capacity restrictions within the building, and masking guidelines that, as far as I know, is not changing as of yet. So yes, as of right now, it is still a maximum of 2 guests, and with like minimal stay within the residence on move-in day. It'll still be within that 2-hour window.
The next question that we have, I think, maybe outside of our department, but I think we may be able to answer it, is the new college orientation the same as the international student orientation? I think Alex maybe came on to amazing.
I could definitely help answer that. So we do have several orientation programs available for students. Nikki mentioned New Journeys, that is the international orientation program that we run with the IFP office. I believe the week of the 22nd, so like 23rd to the 27th, is going to be the New Journeys week. And then the following week would be, so the week of the 30th, all the way till the first day of class, which is September 9th. So 2 weeks of New Roots orientation. So definitely, I would encourage you to follow the Life at New account on Instagram, Facebook, or even TikTok. We usually post about orientation updates. We also have an orientation specific Instagram, so that's NC Orientation. But for your question, they are separate orientations. So one is New Roots, one is New Journeys. You'll have to do registration for them, but they occur on different weeks, but are very close to each other. So definitely encourage. I'll include the links and social media and emails so that you can contact anyone if you have any questions about orientation.
Thank you for that, Alex. We have an incoming question from Janelle, which is, will there be someone to receive international students from the Pearson Airport on move-in day?
No. There's only arranged pickup for students going into the U of T quarantine. If you're quarantine exempt and you're just arriving, we'll provide you with ways of getting downtown, but you need to make your own way downtown. We don't have the resources to bring students down to us.
And question from Chi, what is the address for orientation? I'm assuming that, oh, there we go. So maybe you can utilize new.studentlife at utoronto.ca and ask questions there, but I'm also anticipating that more information around new college orientation will be sent out to students who have signed up for those sessions.
And a little sneak peek, the next newsletter, if you're following the Sprout mentorship newsletters, will be all about orientation. So it will be coming soon with more information about our orientation programs.
I'm not seeing any other questions from the room. Any tips on moving in other than the stuff on the list? I think this is more of a general question, and I'm sure that as we're getting closer to that day, you'll definitely hear a lot from Nikki sending out emails. So all those tips will definitely be captured in those.
Kevin, do you want to talk about, like, say, your move-in experience or what you've seen other students experience maybe?
Absolutely, absolutely. So oops, you get roommates. So next question is, do you get roommates connected beforehand? Nikki, I know that there was a process to
Yeah, that will open up same at, in early August. We do have a roommate selection process where you students can do a search and kind of chat offsite where, you know, exchange email addresses or, you know, IG accounts or whatever it is that they want to chat with students and decide if they want to be roommates. I'll be sending all that instruction on how to do that and what the expectations are in early August. It'll be about a week and a half process. And for students who, I will also, because if students don't find a roommate and we need to fill double rooms, then our office will be matching up students together to be put into double rooms. And I know that the Res Life people will touch on this one on move-in, as well as that there will be roommate contracts that you guys will need to agree to, just to kind of allay any concerns that might come up. I think that covers the roommate stuff.
Yeah. I do have a next question here, but I think that, oops, sorry, the questions are flowing, so it keeps moving my slider. So, well, the space in, sorry, no. Can a student move in mid-October due to visa delays? And I think that also answers the next question, which
Yeah,
is,
as I said previously, you need to email us because there are academic implications to not arriving on campus in September. So we need to hook you up with different with our department, with the registrar's department, because if there is in-person components to classes, whether it's your class, whether it's your tests, your midterms, your labs, your tutorials, all of which count towards your mark. If you miss those, it can be problematic. So I do need you to reach out to us via email so that we can find the best solution for you.
And I think even as a follow-up, Ben, I think that answers your question. The message right below that Alex posted, you can always use new.resident@utoronto.ca to inquire about your future arrivals. And I know Nikki will definitely be sure to support that. Then the last question that I have here is pretty tricky to answer, and we may not have an answer for you, but what is the likelihood of getting a single if I ask for one?
It depends. It's, as we said right on the application, is we do our best to meet students' preferences, but it's not always possible because sometimes demand for certain houses, certain buildings, certain room types exceeds the number of spaces we have. So, which is why we ask for more than one preference.
And then the question here is, I think that also answers the same question from Krishna, which is, will we be able to choose what room/floor we want to stay on, or is that completely randomized?
Well, if you've completed the application, you would have been able to indicate room type and then your living learning community preference. And then from that, we do room assignments. It's not until you're an upper year or a returner student that you can specify specifically one floor or one room number. But first year students, we just go based on preferences and then you're assigned to rooms.
Next question from Belle.
Yeah, sorry, I see that. So I can do it. Students who are exempt from quarantine or think they might be exempt from quarantine due to their vaccination status, you should plan to arrive on or after move-in day. We will not be permitting students with a quarantine exemption to move into residence early.
those are all the questions. Oh, nope, some of them are coming in. Okay, give me 1 second so I can move my slider all the way back up now. So a question from Janelle, which is, where will I be accommodated during the RT-PCR result waiting period of 48 hours?
So if you're referring to students whose quarantine exemption, because you're just asked to self-monitor and potentially self-isolate, you would be allowed into residence if your exemption is approved. But for any other quarantine type questions, please email the quarantine coordinator. They would have the most up-to-date and detailed information for you.
And I think we have a next question from Omar, which is, when should I receive the information of my accommodations to a hotel, since I have yet to receive? And I think that's the same exact answer that Nikki has provided. Please make sure to maybe follow up with that department because we may not have access to that information. It's a completely different office and they will be best suited to support you.
And if that's in reference to your first year guarantee, it's what was in the email from the Vice Provost of Students is you will have another email with more updated information by July 28th.
I think Janelle, I think the answer that we were saying was that it would be ideal for you to reach out to the quarantine coordinator because they are better equipped to answer your questions because we may not have those for you. Are mini fridges allowed in the rooms? So I can happily take this. So they are. We also have a service where we do provide mini fridges to students. So I think, Nikki, correct me if I'm wrong, but should the process be the same this year where they're able to book a mini fridge as they arrive into residence during moving day?
I believe so. I need to just confirm with them, but it would probably be just as it was in the past where we will send out the contact information starting in August. We'll send out information about linens that you can purchase if you're interested, our refrigerators. For the rentals, they'll be brought to your room either on move-in day or shortly thereafter. You're also welcome to bring your own if you have one. Our only requirements is that it's less than 5 years old and no bigger than 5.2 cubic feet.
Amazing. So I know we're coming close to 1:30. So maybe I'll give an opportunity for folks to ask one more question. So here we go. Do people build lofts in the rooms and is it allowed? Nikki's face right now is. I'll let you handle that, Nikki, maybe.
I'm not quite sure what you mean. If you mean in terms of like putting in a loft bed, no. The furniture that is in the room must stay in the room. And our beds, for the most part, and depending on which building you're in, some of them are height adjustable. So you can put in a request to our maintenance techs to be able to raise the beds. But no, you can't be building lofts.
Amazing. And just to wrap up with Janelle's question, what I will say, Janelle, is maybe you can email us at new.residence and we can maybe support you offline because I think that this may be a specific case. But with that, maybe I'll give folks an opportunity for one more question before we wrap up because I know that we're almost short on time. And maybe I'll give it back to Dylan to close this session.
Okay, thanks, Kevin and Nikki and Alex as well for your support this afternoon. And thank you to all of you folks who were able to join us this afternoon. If you have friends or anybody you know who wasn't able to make this session, or you want to rewatch it later, please feel free to have a look at our YouTube and whatnot to have a review of the presentation again. Thank you so much once again. If you folks do have any questions, please direct them to those email addresses that we dropped in the chat there, and we will do our best to support you. It sounds like there might be a bit of an influx of emails, so please allow us some time to get back to you. We might need to look into some things for you as well. But other than that, thank you all once again. I hope that you all have a wonderful day, and we look forward to seeing you folks in September, hopefully.